Hey guys, it's Mr. Sean. Before we begin the video today, I just want to give a shout out to my biggest supporters, J-Dog and Towboy. Both are top tier members of my memberships here on YouTube and over on Patreon, and I just want to say thank you to each of you. And if you would like to get a shout out like J-Dog and Towboy, you also can join. Links are in the description. Enjoy the video, guys.
Everyone loves media, but sometimes we lose media, lost media. Then we all go search for media, lost media. It's not found, it's lost, lost media. Sometimes it's well known, we all know that it's media, lost media. We love to search for media, but it's not that media, lost media. It's lesser known, lost media. Not well known, but it's still lost. Lost media. Lost media. It's lesser known, lost media. Here with Mr. Shaw.
Welcome back, Simian Squad, to Volume 91 of Lesser Known Lost Media. If you're joining us for the first time, don't worry, these can be watched in any order. How it works is we start with 4 family-friendly pieces of lost media that just don't get their time on YouTube like some of the more famous pieces, take a brief break, and then we end with an obscure and spicy piece. So, that's how it works. Let's get started. Our first piece today was recommended by viewer Reverse Shin. Reverse Shin has recommended the piece known as Layton Mystery Detective Agency, a partially found dub of the 2017 anime based off the Professor Layton video game franchise. So this one didn't have a Lost Media Wiki entry, so I had to go dig on my own for this one, but here's what I was able to find out. Now, this anime was made in 2017 for Fuji TV, and of course was originally recorded in Japanese. Taking place after the events of the game Millionaire's Conspiracy, the series follows Catrielle "Catry" Layton, daughter of the renowned Professor Herschel Layton, who has set up the Layton Detective Agency alongside her self-appointed assistant Ernest Greaves, and taken on a client in residence in the form of an amnesiac talking dog she dubs Shirl. Together, the trio take on all kinds of requests to solve mysterious cases troubling their fellow Britons. Now, at some point, a dub was in the works, but it never fully materialized. The series had 50 episodes, and it is not fully known how many episodes in total were dubbed. However, in my research on this piece, I did find a Reddit post from 3 years ago, which I will link in the description, but it was posted in the Professor Layton subreddit by a user called Harmony Spawning, and they had on their iPad, for apparently over a year at the time, the official test dub of this anime, and it's only a 30-minute episode, but it is available on the post. There's a link to the Google Drive file. I did check it out. It sounded pretty good, but I'm not a big Professor Layton person, so I don't know how much fans of the series would truly enjoy it. But if you want to check out the test dub, well, it is available, and there is a link in the description. So I don't know. I was not able to find if any more of this was supposedly dubbed, but it would be nice for fans of the series if they could watch the dubbed episodes. Thank you, Reverse Shin, for suggesting this piece. While I could not find out much about it, I don't know if you knew about the test animation, but if you haven't, check out the link. Moving on to number 2, guys, we have Bible 1999, lost build of cancelled Famicom role-playing game circa 1987. Now, Bible 1999 was a role-playing game that was developed by the company Imagineer and Wavejack for the Nintendo Famicom Disk System that was set for release in 1987, but was cancelled for unknown reasons. A fully animated commercial for the game was created, showing off the character designs and possibly a brief explanation of the game's story. From what we were able to see, the game appears to be a hybrid of a top-down role-playing game and a side-scroller. Likely it would have been very similar to The Legend of Zelda 2: Adventure of Link. The game's graphics look very standard for the time, resembling games such as Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy. The game would have likely been themed around the Christian or possibly Jewish religions, as the advertisement had shown a Star of David symbol. So what do we have of this game? Well, although it had an animated commercial and several screenshots are available, no known prototype builds have surfaced online. Now guys, I am not one to engage in rampant speculation, but I am about to. If I had to guess why this got canceled, it probably was themed around the Bible, and that can be a very touchy subject, and it was probably deemed at some point rather than just reskinning everything, because it takes place in what appears to be in our world. There is a top-down map image available that shows the map of the world. So if it was based on actual, religion, yeah, I think they might have just scrapped the project rather than try and salvage it and make it not about religion in our world. People go crazy when there are depictions of their religion that they don't agree with, so it might have just been deemed too controversial by the developers or Nintendo at the time. Either way, it would be neat to see what they'd come up with and be able to play a version of this game at some point. Alright, moving from video games to video game comics, we have Sparkster the Rocket Knight, partially found unpublished follow-up for Sparkster Last of the Rocket Knights comic series, a date unknown. Now, Sparkster is a comic book series based on the Konami game franchise Rocket Knight Adventures, written by Nigel Kitching. In an interview, he said that Sparkster was the easiest game to adapt into a story due to it being similar to the Sonic the Hedgehog games. After making the first 6-part story of Sparkster, Last of the Rocket Knights, Kitching started making a sequel, but it was cancelled when Fleetway couldn't get the rights from Konami to use the character. Now, apart from some pictures of the comic found on Keith Page's blog, very little information is available on it. Now, it is funny to me that one of the reasons they said they were doing this one is it was the easiest to adapt due to it being like Sonic the Hedgehog, because while I have never played Rocket Knights, I remember seeing it every time I went into the Sega Genesis section at my local Blockbuster as a kid, and never thinking to rent it because it just looked a little too much like Sonic the Hedgehog. So that was actually, so apparently the thing that dissuaded me from ever playing the series was the thing that persuaded them to make a comic book adaptation, which I think is kind of cool, but apparently other than some concept art, that's all we get of this sequel. So, is what it is. I'm sorry I said it is what it is. I know people hate when people say that, but I say it a lot. But anyway, at number 4, we have Creation, the Lost American first feature animated film from 1916. So, Creation is a 1916 American silent black and white animated film made by the Animated Film Corporation, an animation studio located in San Francisco and run by Angel Espoy, Byington Ford, Tack Knight, and Pinto Colvig. Those were hard names for Americans, alright. Who would go on to be the first voice actor for the Disney characters Goofy and Pluto. That was Pinto Colvig. That's actually pretty cool. It is considered to be the very first feature-length animated film with El Apostol, aka The Apostle, despite its status as the first of its kind, releasing a year later, which we did cover El Apostol on the channel in a previous episode. However, no copies of the film survived, and very little information is known about it. So, what was the plot? Well, the film's synopsis remains unknown. Spooky. Although judging from what is available, it likely would have starred Pinto, Tack, and Byington as paper cutouts with their real-life faces, working at an animation studio with them meeting cartoon characters along the way. So what is available? Well, as it stands, the film remains completely lost, with only a few frames and some collages having resurfaced. It also remains unclear if the film ever released at all, with the Southern Historical Oregon Society, who own the surviving frames and collages from the film, stating in an email that they were unable to find any mention of it in any San Francisco newspapers around the time. They also stated that the film's fate might have been alluded to in Pinto's memoir, It's a Crazy Business, in a section where Pinto warns Walt Disney about what might happen to the negatives of his film Snow White, how they will be soaked off to reclaim their silver contents after it loses its popularity, which they suspect might have happened to Creation. It's kind of interesting things that happened in the early days of animation, and the funny thing is that, it's very what we consider the first of a lot of things is really dependent on who you ask. Like, Snow White is considered, Walt Disney's Snow White, which was even mentioned here, was considered to be the first full-length animated, like, motion picture with sound and color and all that. Meanwhile, there had been full-length motion pictures that were animated, had sound in Europe for quite some time, including, I believe, a version of Snow White, but these were all adult films, so they don't really get counted in that. But this one predates El Apostol, which we covered, which was considered the first full-length animated feature, but this apparently was a year earlier and also was full length. So who knows? Animation is a very interesting business, guys, and maybe someday we'll see a little bit more of this one, though it does sound unlikely. Alright guys, we're going to get into the final spicy piece in just a second, but as always with the Friday video, we're going to go over last week's numbers for our goals that we're trying to reach by the end of this year. So goal number 1, of course, is that I would like to have, 2,000 subscribers, and I would like to have an average of 1,000 views per new video that week. And that kind of can come from any source. Just the total amount of views on my channel per week needs to be if I average them out based on the amount of videos I made that week, I would like to have an average of 1,000 views. It's a little weird to explain, but it's, 1,000 average views per week and 2,000 subscribers. So how are we doing on that goal? Well, unfortunately, we took a little bit of a step back this week. We had, last week we had over an average views of over 400, which was great. But what are we doing this week? Well, this week our subscriber count is up to 1,151 out of 2,000. So we are moving in the right direction there, though not very quickly. And then our views, unfortunately, are down to an average of 145 views per video released this week. And that, again, comes from all views on the channel of even the older videos, but the views dropped, they went down by a magnitude of 4 times less than what they were last week, unfortunately. And, I really need your help with this. I need you to, watch the videos. I need you to share the videos. I need you to let people know about this channel so that they can come, they can watch the videos, get this view count up. I really feel like an average of 1,000 views is not really that much to ask, especially when we're going for 2,000 subscribers. I don't feel like it's an unrealistic goal, but it is one that more or less needs to happen for me to keep going with this channel. But how are we doing on goal 2? Like I've said before, if either goal 1 or goal 2 gets met, I will keep the channel going. So, that one is about channel growth, and then goal 2 is about, the channel's monetary returning. So, I would like the channel to be bringing in $100 average per month. So how are we doing on that? Like last time we were, I think at around $25 somewhere in that average per month. Well, it did drop again, and with the lower view count, we are down to the channel bringing in roughly $20 a month, which is, and again, a step in the wrong direction. But I do believe, one thing leads to the other. If we're getting more views, the channel is making more money. So ultimately, my goal that I really want to achieve is the growth goal, but this one would suffice. But either way, we did take a step back on both, and so that's definitely something to work on going forward. If you have let me know why if you didn't watch videos last week on my channel, let me know why in the comments, right? What do you want to see? What would make you want to watch the channel? What would make you want to share the channel? Let me know. I'm definitely willing to adapt in order to meet the needs of my audience, and your support is the biggest thing for me right now. Your views, very, very important. So, if there's something that you feel the channel is lacking, let me know in the comments. Thanks. All right, let's get to that final spicy piece. So just so you know, our spicy piece today is actually a piece that has been found. I just thought this one was very interesting, but it's called Hair Ribbon, and it was a found original ending of a Warner Brothers cartoon from 1944. So Hair Ribbon is a cartoon in the Merry Melodies series released by Warner Brothers in 1944. Directed by Bob Clampett, the short stars Bugs Bunny as he faces a hound dog with a Russian accent, finding ways to torment him. Apart from his eccentric animation style, Bob Clampett gained infamy for challenging the censors with crude and obscene jokes inserted in the shorts he directed, sometimes in a very subtle way. As a result of this practice, Hair Ribbon gets the rare distinction of having two endings, both of which are considered too violent for general audiences. So, what are these endings? Well, there's the director's cut ending. After the Russian dog bites a giant rabbit sandwich with Bugs Bunny in it, Bugs fakes his own death, leaving the hound feeling regret and sobbing at his death, wishing that he could have been the one to die. Bugs resurrects, saying to the Russian dogs, do you mean it? Bugs then draws a revolver from his pocket, sticks it in the mouth and in the hound's mouth, and shoots him. Bugs then places a flower on the chest of the dog's body and dances away. The cartoon ends with the dog breaking the fourth wall saying, "This shouldn't even happen to a dog." The ending did not pass the Hays Code censors, and as a result, this version was never shown theatrically or on television. But then there's another ending. So, a new ending was tailored in which Bugs Bunny, instead of shooting at the Russian dog, offers him the revolver, leading him to commit suicide. A form of cartoon violence that wasn't considered taboo back in the 1940s. A new shot was drawn, made as a close-up of the two characters. The cartoon ends exactly like the original cut afterward. Other changes include an extended scene when the Russian dog is still searching for Bugs and was shortened to the Russian dog sniffing Bugs' armpits, and an extra shot was added in this version in which Bugs shows the audience that he curls his legs inside the loaves of bread so that the Russian dog's bite doesn't reach him. In 1956, the short, as part of Warner Bros. Pre-1948 cartoon catalog, was purchased by Associated Artists Productions, the AAP. Much like the original ending, the alternate cut was censored when aired on television due to its suggestive themes, cutting the entire shot where the hound kills himself, as well as the frames where Bugs pulls out the gun, jumping immediately to a shot of the dog laid down as if he had fainted suddenly. After the pre-1948 Warner Bros. Catalog was purchased by Turner Entertainment, the uncensored version became available to the public through home video releases, although it's still censored when aired on television, with some exceptions like The Bob Clampett Show on Cartoon Network. So, we said it's found. Well, how did that happen? Well, the director's cut remained missing for nearly 50 years since AAP did not own the short's original negatives, which were stored in Warner's archives. In the early 1990s, animation historian Jerry Beck discovered that one film collector named Phil Johnson owned a 35mm nitrate reel of the original ending. The director's cut saw its official debut in the fifth and final Laserdisc release of The Golden Age of Looney Tunes in 1997. By the time of its release, Turner had already been purchased by Time Warner, the parent company of Warner Brothers. Both the altered and directed cuts of Hair Ribbon were released on DVD by Warner Home Video in Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 5 in 2007. While the altered cut was restored and remastered, the director's cut did not get any restoration whatsoever, showing the tinting of the color in the film, which suggests that Warner Brothers did in fact lose the director's cut's master reel. This one is very interesting to me because of the fact that, while we have since kind of backpedaled a little bit. It used to be, in the old code, the censors, all that, it was like, again, anything sexual was just right out. And it still is, especially when we're looking at children's cartoons. But violence was A-okay. I mean, again, people unaliving themselves was not considered taboo to show in a children's cartoon. A lot of times people have talked about episodes like Tom and Jerry where they both end up, sitting down on a railroad track to wait for a train, and they're like, oh, this was banned, this was never shown. No, it was, and it was perfectly fine. So for something like this, to be deemed, no, this is just not okay, because he shot the dog, but it was totally okay for the dog to shoot himself. That just shows you what kind of a weird view we had on censorship and violence and all that back in the 40s, but it is very interesting to see censorship change throughout the years. And I don't know, I know that we don't typically cover found pieces on this channel, but this one was very interesting to me, and I did want to share it with all of you because it's, again, I just find it exceptionally interesting, and that's the whole point of this series. And that's our video today, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching today. If you are still watching and you did not leave a comment based on my request during the break, just comment thumbs up or great video. Either one. If you want to comment the thumbs up emoji, that's cool. But if you enjoyed the video, just type in great video. You know, if we could get at least 10 comments per video, you know, that would definitely start to get the algorithm to start showing this video to other people. Because I've noticed we're not doing all that well when this video currently, it's not shown to a lot of people, and therefore a lot of people are not finding it. So if we could definitely get some comments going, some likes, some, you know, all of that, show the algorithm that this channel, this series, is worth recommending to people, and that would be an amazing amount of help to me. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you in the next one. I definitely hope to see you Monday with our episode of The Familiar Place, and on Wednesday when we cover Reddit stories, and then again next Friday when we'll have volume 92 of Lesser Known Lost Media. I can't do this without you guys. Thank you for all your support and your time. Until next time, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Mr. Sean Productions, and I sincerely hope that you have a great day and an even better tomorrow. Bye-bye.